What is going on, everybody? In today's video, I'm going to literally be telling you guys everything about NPIP certification. I got the okay from the NPIP guy, Jim Ward. He's awesome. One of the coolest people I've met in the chicken world. I got the okay to record him. So basically, this video is going to be pretty long, about an hour and something minutes, because we just sat and talked. There's a lot of info to take in. So yeah, I'm going to get right to it. I really hope you guys enjoy. If you're scared to get NPIP certified, worried, all that stuff, this is the exact video for you. So anyway, let's get right to it. Let's do this.
He's stopping the development of the commercial poultry industry. If you got pullorum, you were pretty much out of business. Pullorum is a bacterial infection. Its original name was white diarrhea disease, so you know what the symptoms are.
Yeah.
It infects the reproductive tract of the hen, then gets on the eggs, and then infects the chicks. The chicks end up getting diarrhea and dehydrating and dying.
Okay.
So in 1935, they started this program to get all the states and everybody on the same page to coordinate to eliminate the disease. They passed laws to require pullorum testing if you're moving poultry in the United States. So those laws are still on the books today. If you want to show or sell poultry, you have to be pullorum tested.
Okay.
Now here's the flip side of that. This program has been wonderfully successful. The last official case of pullorum in the U.S. was in 2004. The last official case of pullorum in Ohio was in 1979.
Okay.
Yay.
So this program has eliminated this disease from the United States, and our European trading partners, our Asian trading partners, they're all doing the same thing. They've all pretty much eliminated.
Awesome.
We are on the verge of eliminating this disease from the world.
Wow.
Basically. So pullorum is in the Salmonella family of bacteria. It's a bacterial disease. But because it's a state program with this national umbrella, we have to get all 50 states to agree to drop the requirement. That hasn't happened yet. So until that does, we still have to test for pullorum, even though we don't expect to find it anymore.
What state was it in 2004?
Iowa.
Iowa.
It was in a turkey flock in Iowa.
Okay. So that's why you want to test turkeys.
Yeah. So
right.
So that's pullorum. That's the first disease that we're going to be testing for. Okay. You've probably already done that for your fair at some point. Never. You've never had the little blood
He's
test?
never showed.
We haven't done fair. This is our first year getting into show chickens and.
Okay. Well, all right.
Yeah,
we'll talk
he's
about that here in a
brand
minute.
new. He's brand new. Yeah.
Okay. So the second disease that we're very worried about is avian influenza. This is the disease that's in the news right now. Last year in the state of Ohio, in the month of December, 6 commercial farms went down with avian influenza. That resulted in us having to put down 6 million birds. Okay. In addition to those 6 commercial farms, we had 2 backyard flocks go down in February. Knock on plastic, wood,
Yeah.
that we don't have any AI anywhere around right now.
Yeah.
It's been a very quiet season, probably because of the drought. What we know about AI is spread by wild waterfowl. Anything you can do to keep your birds away from wild waterfowl is going to help you.
So it's not just birds. It's like
It's wild waterfowl specifically.
okay.
So a couple scenarios. One, the flock the backyard flock was in Columbus.
Okay.
The issue there is Columbus is just lousy with Canada geese. I mean, you can't go into a store without being attacked by them because they're nesting in the parking lots. So that brings us to biosecurity point number 1. Have a designated pair of barn shoes.
Okay.
Translation, don't take your street shoes that you're wearing out and picking up goose poop on into your barn.
Okay.
Now, most of us, we do that anyways
Yeah.
because it works the opposite way. If I tracked my chicken poopy shoes into the house, my mother would have gotten on me as a kid. Taking a little stick and going.
Yeah.
So anyway, but having a separate set of barn shoes, the whole thing with our backyard biosecurity is about don't bring it to your farm. Do anything you can. The commercial guys seal their birds up in a bubble. Obviously, backyard flocks, we can't do that.
Yeah.
We don't do that. And so what I encourage is practical biosecurity measures, things that we can do, things that will be helpful to us. I'm not looking for anything extreme. I'm also about, if you can do some of it, that's better than doing none of it. If you do it some of the time, that's better than never doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know, with all of that in mind, this little sheet here talks a little bit about a few of the biosecurity things, and you have a few emergency numbers.
Okay.
Most people, when they have problems, they call me. That's the great thing about joining the NPIP program, is now you're kind of joining this chicken network.
Yeah.
So if you have problems, we can hopefully give you the right information to help you solve the problem. So there's me, and I started in 4-H, and I've come up through, and now I'm in the Ohio National and working with the Ohio Poultry Association. If I can't directly answer your question, then I will send it through the Ohio Poultry Association, which is the umbrella organization for the commercial poultry industry in Ohio. They were doing health programs for the commercial industry, and the Ohio Department of Agriculture said, hey, can you do them for everybody? So that's how the NPIP program ended up with OPA, whereas most other states it's with the Department of Agriculture. But anyways, if OPA doesn't have a solution, the commercial industry doesn't have a solution, Ohio State Extension, the Ohio Department of Agriculture, the U.S. Department, we're connected. So we can pass a question or problem around, and usually somebody out there has had it and figured out how to deal with it. So that's, I think, the real power of the program. But you're always, I'm sort of the first line, you're always welcome to give me a call whenever there's an issue.
Okay.
That said, I'm an exhibition person, and I hope that you've got exhibition chickens that you'll consider doing more showing.
We just started.
My thing is the Ohio National. I'm on the committee that puts it on. So we'd love to have you come up to the Ohio National. That's always the second Saturday of November is the day to come as a visitor. The birds come in on the Friday, and then they have to be cooped in by 9 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. You'll be in the junior show. The junior show is completely separate from the adult open show. Not that juniors can't show in the open show, but the adults can't show in the junior show. They have their awards on Saturday, and then the birds stay overnight, and then you pick them up Sunday.
Okay.
We have this, we can't get everything done on Saturday, and then also Saturday night is the opportunity for everybody to socialize.
Okay.
So
That's cool. Yeah, we're learning the chicken community is big.
Talk chicken shop is what we all do Saturday night.
Yes.
We sit there, we're sitting there at the the restaurant, because most of us are scattered all over.
Yeah.
You are really fortunate to live in Ohio, because this is a really special thing that we have right in our backyards. The Ohio National truly is a national show. There are several other little shows around, and of course the 4-H shows, but none of them are going to attract people from all 50 states.
Yeah.
Last year, for the 150th anniversary of the founding of the American Poultry Association, we had 49 states represented. The only one that wasn't represented was Hawaii.
Wow.
Which Hawaii has special, all kinds of special things about it. So, and that's okay. But we did even have somebody from Alaska, and we had people from, I don't know, 6 or 7, 8 provinces of Canada. So, and we had some visitors. We had a lady from Finland, I think. She actually entered in the egg show.
That's
I don't
cool.
know where I don't know if she brought the egg through customs or she got an egg here, but she did the decorated contest, so the egg would have been blown out anyways.
Okay.
We have the plate egg contest where you just exhibit your eggs, and then we also have the decorated contest where the eggs are blown out for the most part. Anyway, so
is it playing on like their colors and all that? And
right, so there's a dark brown, the Moran eggs basically, and you're judging them on the color and on the freedom of defects and on the cleanliness and on the uniformity. It's a plate of 3. Plate of 3 or plate of 6. I think it's a plate of 3. And then the blue eggs have a division and the white eggs have a division.
oh, that's cool.
And then the regular brown eggs have a division. And then there's you could have a speckled egg division. So that show is expanding, so we're always tinkering with the rules.
Okay.
Tinkering with the rules as in expanding the offerings.
Yeah.
Right now we do have a large fowl and bantam division. but I could see in the future where we'll have a non-chicken division where we have turkey eggs and
Yeah. That's cool.
Some of the duck eggs, some of the like the coyote duck with the really dark
Yeah.
blackish green eggs.
Yeah.
I mean, anything.
That's neat. We love the colored eggs.
So.
Well, I do. I
Anyway,
make them. Yeah.
So that's the Ohio National. Usually the entry, the catalog, as we say, the entry blank comes out mid-September, and then entries are usually due the first part of October. So
there's big competition, but it's well worth going, even if you're not,
Absolutely.
even if you're new.
So as a new person, come see what it's about. So last year was a special year. It's the 150th anniversary.
We visited.
We had 10,700 entries. So that was we have these, I call them super shows. The super shows are every 4 or 5 years. And usually they put it at the Columbus because we're the biggest show.
Yeah.
So if you're going to want to do something special, it's the place where you're going to get the most people. It's harder to go to California or New York because then it's more travel for the people on the, so we're kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
And chickens eat corn. Corn Belt is here in the Midwest. That's where the chickens are.
Okay.
For the commercial industry as well as the exhibition industry.
Wow.
The middle part of our country is kind of empty, as we always say.
Yeah.
That does offer us a degree of protection because, I'll talk about that in a minute. We had some problems out in California, and they didn't get to the Midwest because we have this big empty section in our country.
Oh, that's good.
I hope that you'll come and do that.
Yeah.
It's not a 4-H show, by the way. You don't have to be in a 4-H or anything.
That's
you just
good.
have to pay your entry fee and sign up and come.
Cool.
That's what he wants. He wants to just put his birds in the cage and
So
do it.
you
He's a
can
little
do
nervous.
that. We do for the juniors. We have showmanship and we have the breed competition. So the breed is where they judge the bird. Showmanship is where they judge how you handle the bird and all of that. There's also, in addition to that competition, there's also probably 3,000 or 4,000 chickens for sale. Whatever's in the show, there'll be 3 or 4 times that.
Yep.
Back in the traders row, and they'll be good stuff.
Yeah.
Usually, I mean, they're the breeders' call birds, so they're going to be better than say what you can pick up from TSC or a Hazard or something. You never know what's going to be there. Just depends on who comes to the
That's
show.
what we come home with. What, about $400 of chickens last year?
Yeah, you went last year, so
Yeah.
you got to see it. Yeah.
So we at least saw it.
Yeah.
And we've been to, what's the other ones we went to?
Fancy Feather Show.
Yeah.
And White River
Okay.
in Indiana.
All right.
That's
So
about all we've done.
I like a mix of shows. So Columbus is great because it's big. I like some of the smaller shows because they can be more relaxing and more social.
Yeah.
I go to the first one of the year is always Marietta, which is the last weekend in March, and then Dayton is in April, and then of course they have theirs this coming weekend.
Yeah.
Showing chickens is there's a timing aspect to it to get the birds in condition and all of
Yeah.
that.
We're learning.
So I don't often show in the fall because I now hatch in the early spring or late spring, early summer,
Okay.
and that means that the birds aren't quite there in the fall.
Yeah.
So
What
but
breed?
that's
What breed do you work with?
I raise Javas and Dominiques and salmon Faverolles and silver penciled Hamburgs. So I got a few.
What's the penciled we loved?
The silver
Wyandotte.
Wyandotte.
Oh,
Okay.
but I love the Hamburg too. Well, they're black and white one.
So so I wait till spring. Plus I'm busy in the fall, getting things ready for the nationals.
Yeah.
So we still do almost everything for nationals by hand. It's everybody's old.
Yeah.
The club is old.
That's why they get so excited with him and young kids coming up because they're really showing a lot of interest.
We are working. What we have is we have a lot of young people, as in 18 and unders.
Yeah.
And then we have a lot of older people, and we don't have anybody in the middle. And partly it's because you go off to school, and it takes a while to establish yourself and get your own place and get into chickens again, and just everything these days is very expensive. So,
Yes.
but we are working to try to make the club more welcoming to young people because we need them. The old people are dying off, and if we don't have people to replace them, this endeavor hits a wall. So, anyways, so back to avian influenza. So avian influenza, it's 70 to 90% lethal. So the question people ask all the time is, why don't we develop an avian resistant bird from the 10% that survive or something like that? So what I want to emphasize is that we deal with the problem when the viral load is in the environment as low as possible. So avian influenza can jump to people, has jumped to people, is jumping to people right now. The Spanish flu of 1918 started out as a bird flu. The epidemiologists think that it jumped to pigs, and then from pigs it jumped to people, and people as in the soldiers fighting World War I, who then took it all around the world.
Yeah.
Ended up with 100 million people dead, something like that. It was bad. We don't want that to happen again. We got a little bit of scare with COVID. COVID was not a bird flu, but it could have been. You know, all the human flus, influenza viruses, are very similar to the avian influenza viruses. There's some speculation that maybe they all started out as birds and jumped to people at one point, way back in the day.
Yeah.
Anyways, so we have avian influenza. It comes in a high path and a low path form. The high path form, you're going to know you have a problem. The low path, you may not. Okay. Just because it's low path for you doesn't mean it's low path for the flock down the street. It just depends on the resistances of the birds and all of that. So I'm here, we're trying to make sure that there's no low path circulating out there. Low path, one can mutate to high path, and low path can be high path somewhere else.
Do you ever get negative or positive test results that are wrong?
The positivity rate is very low.
Okay.
The avian influenza test is a PCR test, so we're actually looking at for a stretch of a certain DNA sequence that's specific to the virus.
Okay.
So we don't get a lot of false positives with this. We've maybe found twice low path flocks in the 20 years we've been doing this. So it's extremely rare, but it does happen. I don't want you to stay awake at night worrying about it. I want you to be aware of it, and hopefully with all the biosecurity and all the other things that we're talking about and just being part of the program, I hope that enough will sink in that you won't have any problems.
He's pretty naturally biosecure.
Yeah.
Like as far as the boots, and he never wears his boots out to public ever.
Yeah.
You know, he's got his certain boots, and
it's kind of a natural thing to do. So avian influenza. So we don't. One of the big issues with it is we don't have any tools to fight it.
Okay.
So like I said, it's 70 to 90% lethal. So in the Union County, that was the first of the commercial farms to go down. They went in on Thursday, there were 10 dead birds. On Friday, they went in, there was 100 dead birds. On Saturday, they went in, there was 1,000 dead birds. They knew they had a problem. They got the positive results, the confirmation that they had AI on Sunday. They started the depopulation on Monday. Doing it when the viral load in the environment is low as possible.
Yeah.
Because the higher the viral load gets, the more opportunities there are to escape and affect neighboring farms. The more opportunity it is to jump to people. So in China, 8 years ago, they had 1,600 people end up in the hospital.
Yeah.
It was a low path avian influenza, meaning the birds weren't particularly sick. So people continued to work with them, butcher them, eat them, all of that. 800 of those people died. You got to always take these numbers with a grain of salt, because we really don't know how many people were exposed, and you don't know at what point people showed up at the hospital. Rural areas in America are not particularly good with healthcare. I'm sure in China it's probably a similar situation. I know people that will not go to the hospital until they are on death's doorstep. Yeah. And by then you may be beyond the help of medicine. So I don't know what exactly happened with that, but it is something that can jump to people. Yeah. The marching orders of the egg farmer is to produce eggs. His goal is to clean everything out and get back into business as fast as possible. There are breeding companies. Their job is to breed chickens that are resistant to disease. Yeah. The breeding companies very much are concerned with avian influenza resistance. But so when we say we don't save that 10%, those guys are the ones that come in and they will save birds and do that kind of stuff. But the egg farm itself, we're going to kill everything.
Yeah.
Because we cannot take the risk of bringing in new birds and have carriers that are still there. It just, there's too much money at risk.
Yeah.
You know, if you had a million, you know, you have a million bird facility and you have a few thousand birds that survived, and then you're going to start bringing in another million birds.
Yeah.
You just can't take that risk.
Yeah.
That's a million birds that you're putting at risk, because one of those, taking a chance that one of those birds that survived now has become a carrier for the disease. We just can't do that. Avian influenza recently has been detected in cattle.
Okay. We don't have none.
It's
So.
we don't know if it's been in cattle a long time and we just haven't detected it, or if it's something new.
Yeah.
We do have a worker. He was milking the cows. You can imagine a scenario where he touched his face and he ended up with conjunctivitis. Okay,
Yeah.
we can deal with that. Right now there's no plan to call cows the way they call chickens. It's not lethal for cows. They get better after 2 weeks. Cows are very expensive.
Yeah.
It's you know, you start killing the kinds of numbers of cows like you kill the numbers of chickens, it becomes a very different.
It is a whole different thing. Yeah.
So, but anyways, it's spreading out in Iowa right now. The Ohio Department of Agriculture has added a few new requirements for people out of state to come into the Ohio. Basically, you're going to have a negative AI test to come into Ohio.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to call up the Ohio Department of Agriculture and say, hey, this is so-and-so from Iowa. I'm not in a county where there's AI.
Okay.
And if you are not in a county where there's AI, then they will say, okay, you're okay to come. But if you are from a county where there's active AI, they're going to say, another time.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Why I mention that, because obviously you're in-state. There are no issues with in-state people going to a show or whatever. But it's conceivable that in the future we may face those same requirements.
So could he show not be an NPIP in Ohio because he lives in Ohio? I know they prefer
Yes, but he still has to be pullorum tested.
Okay.
The easiest way to get pullorum tested is
to do this.
Through the NPIP program. Like I said, also too, no more wait lists or anything. You're dealing with me. So I have you in the database, and at the beginning of October next year, I will call and we will set up a time for me to come out and test you.
Okay.
It's automatic.
Okay.
I don't want you to show or sell birds on expired paperwork. But that said, we don't have, you know, today is the 1st. We don't have to test you next year on the 1st.
Yeah.
I mean, if we don't get to you till the end of October, or maybe you want to go earlier because you got a shipment of birds or a show or something, that's fine. Just, you know, you can call me or I'll automatically call you.
Okay.
That's how that works. No more dealing with the office, in other words. So anyway, so that's AI.
They're so rotten.
This is a little sheet on how we're testing for AI.
Okay.
And it's got here a list of some of the symptoms you'll see.
Now, is AI instant test?
No. So we have to, so when I say Reynoldsburg, what I mean is the Ohio Department of Agriculture Animal Disease Diagnostic Laboratory.
Okay.
Their facilities are in Reynoldsburg, just outside of Columbus.
Okay.
So anyways, I say Reynoldsburg as shorthand.
Yeah.
We will collect saliva. We're looking for viral shed in the throat.
Okay.
So if there's active virus in the body of the bird, it'll shed into the throat. We'll get it in the saliva. We'll send it, and they'll detect it by PCR. That's a little bit of a different test than the pullorum. The pullorum is an antibody test. So if any time during the bird's lifetime it got exposed to pullorum, it'll make antibodies. Those antibodies will continue to circulate in the bird's blood.
Okay.
The blue stuff that we have here, the antigen, reacts with the antibodies, and you'll get clumping.
Okay.
So what we want...
So that'll be known right away.
That'll be known right away.
Okay, so that's the one.
So for you guys, for most backyard farmers, it really doesn't make a difference, but from an epidemiologically point of view, whether it's an antibody test measuring exposure versus a PCR test which measures active infection.
Okay.
So translation is your birds may have been exposed to AI in the past, but if right now they're not shedding virus, we're not going to detect it,
Okay.
and we're not going to do anything.
Okay.
So what we're interested in as far as AI is concerned is birds that are actively sick, actively
Okay.
shedding virus.
So from today, and then you submit all the stuff, how long does it take to get like your NPIP number?
This first time it's
or-
going to take a couple weeks.
Okay.
I have to submit all your information to the
Okay.
national office, and then they will assign you an NPIP number. Once we get your NPIP number, we will make you NPIP cards. This is what
Wow.
mine looks like.
That's awesome.
So I have mine. I am 31,390, and now we're up to 31,1700.
Okay.
So I've been a part of this program a long time.
Yes.
31 is for the state of Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
31 dash and then whatever. But it lists that I'm pullorum clean and I'm avian influenza clean, and it shows when it expires.
That's awesome. Okay.
So this for weekend shows and stuff is nice because you just stick it in your wallet and forget about
Yeah.
it, but you have it when you need it.
Yes.
This is what all of the adults use.
Okay.
The 4-H'ers though, they got to do their own thing.
Yeah, that's a whole different.
They use this form here. So when the 4-H asks for your health papers, they want this form.
Okay.
And you're going to get that form today too.
Okay.
I'm actually going to write down that your results are negative on this form, but it won't be official until you get this letter back in the mail in about 2
Gotcha.
weeks.
Okay.
In the future, it'll be faster. I will submit the samples today. We will get the AI results tomorrow afternoon.
Okay.
Okay.
It's really fast. If I was worried about disease, I would
Yeah.
email you or whatever right
Yeah.
away.
Okay.
If by any
Good.
chance it's a positive, now
Mm-hmm.
I don't want you
Yeah.
to worry about that being the case, but if that were the case, you would get called directly from the lab immediately.
Okay.
So and then
So if they're
and
ever-
then you're not going to
Yeah.
see me. You're
No.
going to see the big wigs if you
Oh.
have a positive.
So if you get a positive, they come out and they destroy all your birds, right?
Right.
And they probably take their carcasses and everything, right?
Yes.
Would you be reimbursed for the birds, or is it kind of just your loss?
Yes, there is some indemnity. That's one of the advantages of being part of the program.
Mm-hmm.
The indemnity programs are set up for the commercial industry. It becomes a little fuzzier when we talk about backyard flocks.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, it's a little bit. It's not probably going to be the full amount.
Yeah.
A slate turkey over there right now is running 75 to 150 bucks,
Okay.
somewhere in that range.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably not going to get that, but you might
Yeah.
get 50 bucks.
Yeah.
So I mean, you get a little something.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Enough
So-
to start over, right? Or do you have to wait
Right. Well,
years?
you have to wait.
Okay.
It's 60 days.
Okay.
It's not a huge amount of time.
Yeah.
And of course,
And I'm just wanting this for documentation, like,
Right.
because we're doing video or whatever, but just to know some of the things that could happen.
right. So
Not to worry
they will
you.
come out. They will quarantine your place.
Mm-hmm.
They will destroy everything,
Okay.
kill everything. Keep in mind. Last year we had 2 backyard flocks in the state of Ohio. There are how many tens of thousands of backyard flocks? They're
Yeah.
everywhere right
Yeah.
now. And so the argument has been that backyard flocks are outside and exposed to stuff, and therefore they act as kind of sentinels. So if anybody's going to get sick, it should be the backyard flocks, and it's actually not working that way. There are 1,000 or something, couple thousand commercial farms in Ohio, and 6 of them went down versus
Okay.
how many tens and tens of thousands and 2 backyard flocks.
Yeah.
And the commercial
So if a
flocks,
backyard flock close to us had it, would we have to destroy our
No.
birds? Okay, because that's
So
a
we-
misconception a lot
we
have.
do it on a farm by farm basis.
Okay.
So what happens is when you have a positive outbreak, they establish a control zone of 6 miles, 10
Okay.
kilometers in a circle around that. So
Yeah.
what that means in the control zone is that you could not move birds while there's an active outbreak until you've had a negative test.
Okay.
So in the past, they would establish a control zone, and no birds moved in or out of that control zone.
Okay.
And what they found is that you basically put those producers out of business. I'm talking commercial farms.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you put those producers out of business. They also found that by not allowing any birds to move, that it actually made the outbreak worse. And it makes so think of it this way: the disease moves by jumping from stepping stone to stepping stone to stepping stone. So what they decide, what they have, as they thought about the problem, they can help the producers and work to stop the disease by allowing some birds to move under controlled circumstances. So, say for instance you have farm A has an outbreak, and you have farm B here, and maybe those are turkeys that are scheduled to be butchered at 25 weeks,
Yeah.
and maybe they're 20 weeks old. So they can go ahead and they can do get a negative test back, and they can send those turkeys to market at 20 weeks. So the producer's going to lose a little bit,
Yeah.
but you get rid of that flock, and now you don't have a stepping stone to the third flock over here.
Okay.
So we get rid of this one. This flock is safer
Yeah.
because there's less opportunity for the disease to move.
Okay.
And also this guy, he reduces his risk. He's getting rid of his birds at 20 weeks. He's got his negative test, boom, he gets some money. He doesn't lose everything.
Yeah.
If his birds get sick, if he waits and they get sick, he may lose everything.
Okay. Gotcha.
Because if they get sick, then those turkeys can't go to market.
Okay.
We have a policy in the U.S. We do not allow any materials from a sick flock to enter into the human food chain.
Okay.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter. You may have a laying farm with 1 million birds and you got a few sick birds. They stop deliveries of eggs immediately. So usually these egg farms, they have several days worth of eggs in their storage areas.
Yeah.
That all gets destroyed.
Wow.
Yeah. So maybe you had an egg that was laid 3-4 days ago in your storage area, and then you just found out you have AI today. Doesn't matter.
Everything's
Those eggs
destroyed.
are done.
Okay.
Any egg products are done. Same with broilers. Done. I don't care if only a handful of broilers over here. You may have 3 or 4 barns on your farm, and only one barn has a little bit of some sick birds in it. Doesn't matter. All of it's done.
Okay.
Same with turkeys.
Okay.
They do not mess around with this.
Okay.
That said, cooking eliminates the virus. Properly cooked poultry, you should never ever get sick from AI.
Okay.
But they just do not risk it, period.
Yeah.
We have enough issues with salmonella and listeria and E. coli, and people cooking not cooking poultry properly. We just don't risk it.
Okay.
So anyway, so they will come and get all your birds. If you are outside that, they're going to come and check your birds and make sure they're healthy, and they will continue to monitor your flock through the duration of the outbreak.
Okay.
So usually they can have all the birds killed and all of the birds composted in 30 days.
Okay.
So they are going to repeatedly monitor you for 30 days.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're in that 10-kilometer, 6-mile
Okay.
zone. And they are going to look high and low, and they've got a whole staff that does that, and they will. The first step is they'll come through and you'll get a letter in your mailbox or a knock at your door. Hey, we see you have chickens. We've got a problem. We need you to be extra careful.
Okay.
And you're not allowed, you can move, but before you can move, you got to get your negative test.
Okay.
So that's
cool.
Here's what I advise. We had an outbreak of infectious Newcastle in and around LA. We've had a number of Newcastle's outbreaks. It's considered to be an exotic disease to the United States, meaning it's not normally present here in the United States. It's some suggestion, some thought is that it may be in the fighting cocks down in Mexico.
Okay.
Every once in a while, it jumps from the fighting cocks into normal chickens. Okay, and then that's when it becomes a problem. Anyways, we had some people talking online about how they were hiding chickens from the officials trying to clean up the outbreak. They actually moved some birds out of the quarantine zone, and as a consequence, we had a Newcastle's positive flock in Nevada and one in New Mexico. Penny wise, a pound foolish. This is where I was talking earlier about the emptiness of the middle part of our country.
Yeah.
That saved us.
Yeah.
Because if they had moved those birds into the Corn Belt, you know, the number one egg producing state is Iowa. The number one broiler producing state is Arkansas. You know, Ohio is number 2 in egg production. We have a huge duck industry in Indiana. We have huge amount, Ohio is number 8, I think, in turkeys production.
Wow.
I mean, there's a
Yeah.
whole boatload of birds here, and
Yeah.
we do not want this disease.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, this got us thinking, what is the better way to handle it? Not to hide from the officials. We're just trying to do a job and keep the industry and everybody safe
Yeah.
from disease. So what I encourage you is when you have a special line of chickens that's irreplaceable, to start a second flock somewhere. Okay? That can mean different things. I mean, it's not a, you know, it's not a list of definitions. It's not that. It could be taking some call birds and giving them to a relative who just wants some egg layers.
Yeah.
But the point is, if something happens to the primary flock, there's some birds
got your
over there that you
genetics.
can go get.
Yeah.
It
That's
could
a
be
good idea.
selling birds and just keeping track of where those birds are going. With the understanding that if something happened here, you could call up whoever you sold them to and get a few birds back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be working with another breeder that's got the same stuff that you have, and is, you know, could mean a lot of things.
Yeah.
It does mean the second flock has to be on a separate farm.
Well, yeah.
But you know, it's not like maybe just a few houses down is enough. Maybe you want it on the other side of the county. Maybe you want it somewhere else altogether. The point is, be prepared to lose everything. Now, number one reason you'll lose everything: predators. If a mink gets in your barn, they'll wipe it out in your flock in a night.
Yep.
The number 2 reason is that I would encourage you to line breed. You line breed, that's how you improve your stock for showing purposes, but it's also, anytime you bring a bird from somewhere else, you run the risk of tracking something to your farm. So if you're line breeding, you're not tracking stuff to your farm. So there's an advantage to doing that. The old timers used to say, you will know when you need outside blood.
Yeah.
You'll hit a wall, fertility will drop, you'll start getting a lot of deformities, whatever. You'll know when you need outside blood. The question is, with some of these breeds, they're so rare and so difficult to get your hands on, where do you go for outside blood? So you need a secondary flock where you can get some outside blood.
Okay.
In the old days, the guys used to run 3 lines in their barn. They'd have an A line, a B line, and a C line. They would never cross the 3 lines together except for once a decade or something.
Yeah.
They'd throw a B bird into the A line. And that would invigorate the A and fix whatever problems the A line was having, or vice versa.
That's kind of the route we're going to try, isn't it? Something like that.
So,
yeah.
trying to keep
Not
your
we.
genetics healthy is always a bit of a challenge, especially for small flocks, because it takes a lot of space, it takes a lot of money, it takes a lot of time.
You ain't kidding.
So we try to, you kind of gotta navigate and find your way.
Yeah.
The secondary flock helps with that. So that's the number 2 reason you need a secondary flock. The 3rd reason you need a secondary flock is way down a disease outbreak.
Yeah.
It's a very, very low possibility. Not a 0 possibility, but very, very low. So anyways, that's why we have we're having a secondary flock somewhere. So the other things that I encourage for biosecurity: if a bird leaves the farm and comes back, quarantine it. The incubation period for avian influenza is 7 to 10 days, so we usually say a 2-week quarantine.
Okay.
The idea is if the bird comes back and looks okay, maybe it'll show symptoms sometime during those 2 weeks, and you can get rid of it and save your flock.
Yeah.
The other thing is, if you buy a bird from somewhere, quarantine it with a sacrificial lamb. The idea is if that bird, you may come from an NPIP source, may come from a respected breeder, but it may be carrying something. It may appear healthy. Then it will get the sacrificial lamb sick. You get rid of both and you save your flock.
Okay.
I used to not be an advocate for going to the veterinarian. A $10 chicken doesn't justify a $100 vet bill. One of the things you have to learn, then the ugly side of what we do, is you have to once in a while take a bird behind the barn.
Yes, we do that.
It's just part of this game. But I have changed my opinion on going to the vet. If you can go to the vet and pay $100 to save your flock, you certainly have thousands in your flock, and that's worth saving. So I worry about things that appear to be infectious. I don't worry about individual birds.
Yeah.
And usually I am of the school that I don't want to limp along a bird. I want my birds to be either healthy or dead.
Yeah.
And I know how that sounds
No,
harsh.
we really have come to that
If there's a
realization.
genetic reason for a bird being not thriving, I don't want to take a risk of breeding that into my line.
Yeah.
And so I would rather just have that bird die, and then I fix all chicken problems by hatching more.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's chicken math or something.
Yes.
But that's my solution. All chicken problems can be solved by hatching more.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. That's what we're going to try.
So
Yeah.
chickens come from hot, dry, tropical forest. When you bring them up into our wet, cold, nasty Ohio weather, they get respiratory issues. Not every respiratory issue is avian influenza.
Okay.
Most of the time, it's not going to be avian influenza. One of the characteristic things of avian influenza, one, is the high mortality, and two, you get bruising, what looks like bruising in the combs and in the shanks. Now again,
Okay.
this is for commercial white leghorn layers.
Okay.
Translating that to show chickens that have black
Yeah.
skin or have feathers on their legs
Yeah.
or whatever, or crests, that's going to be, you have to take a step back and say, well, how? But what it is that the avian influenza causes the blood pressure to spike. The blood pressure bursts the capillaries in the skin, the little tiny blood vessels, and you get hematomas.
Huh.
Looks
Yeah.
like bruising.
That's neat to learn.
So that's one thing that's kind of characteristic of AI. But anyways, it's really, anytime you have a really high unexplained mortality event, that's when we want you to give us a call.
I've noticed too with backyard birds and then show birds. Show birds get a little stressed. Sometimes they get a little rattly.
Yeah,
Like they get
yeah.
especially the great big ones that he
Yeah.
has. Sometimes I'm like, that thing sounds rattly. And he's like, give her a day. She got stressed.
Almost all of the elite show lines are very highly inbred. So most of the elite show lines could benefit from outcrossing, to be frank.
yeah.
But you don't do it because, well, I'm winning and I don't
Yeah.
want to take a risk of crossing something in that's going to destroy it.
Yeah.
Well, we just got a big batch of,
Light Brahmas. We're doing large Brahmas.
yeah, and a geneticist.
He's like a big genetics guy. So
He's-
he gave us like one of every bird in his pens and stuff. So
Yeah.
we've got a bunch of.
From
Well,
different ones
I
all
mean,
over the
that's
U.S.
awesome,
Yeah,
But you can't,
you don't know.
you don't know. And
But we do have paperwork, and we're going to keep track of stuff. so
Okay,
hopefully.
on the topic of paperwork, so that's just that's a little bit about biosecurity. It's, I did want to mention, talking about the sacrificial lamb, here's an example of where that would have helped. One of my clients, they went and bought some pigeons at an auction.
Okay.
They came home, they put the pigeons right into their aviary. As a result, the pigeons they bought at the auction were carrying something, got their aviary sick, they lost 600 pigeons.
Wow.
Pigeons right now are going for, these kind of show pigeons are going for $100 a piece.
Yeah.
So he lost $6,000 worth of pigeons.
Wow.
And if he had just stuck those new pigeons
In
with the
with one.
sacrificial lamb,
And
in
you
a
always have
quarantine
call
pen,
birds, or we have backyard bird.
he
Just
might have been able to save his aviary.
okay.
So, anyways, that's just on the. So that's biosecurity. A little bit about the diseases. I know I'm throwing a lot out today. You guys are
We're
new, and I'm
excited.
trying to kind of bring you up to speed. But keep in mind, every year we do this, we talk about things, and I'm here to answer questions. And if you have questions, feel free to get in touch with me. Here's my card. A lot of paperwork this first
Yeah.
time too.
Yep.
So, anyway, so like I said, I'm happy to try to answer questions. Okay, today, paperwork-wise, we're going to ask you to sign a contract. You probably should be the one that signs the contract.
So I'm
since
18.
You're still a
I know it's
minor.
hard to believe I'm 18, but I am. No.
All right. Basically, this is a cover our butt kind of contract. Just something. As the program has evolved over the past 20, 30 years, we've, as we run across certain problems, then we put them in the contract, and then we have a fallback to say, hey, this is what you agreed to.
Yeah.
That said, the two critical things in this contract is that now that you are a certified tested flock, you agree not to bring in uncertified birds.
Okay.
Anytime you expose your certified birds to untested birds, it negates the test.
Okay.
So you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're spending.
But we can hatch our own here.
You can hatch your own.
Okay, good.
You after today you'll be flock tested, which means everything on your farm is covered.
Okay.
Okay, and your test is good for a year. We offer AI monitored. We test you once a year, and AI clean. We test you twice a year. Right now, I just say go with AI monitored. Where you run into AI clean is if you start going out of state or start
Okay.
selling out of state.
Yeah.
So just right now, just stay once a year. If you decide, hey, we're running into this AI clean stuff, we like to be tested twice a year, just give me a call. We'll put you on the
Okay.
calendar to be tested in 6 months. Okay, so that's the first thing. Let's say you run into some birds somewhere that are really great and the guy is not NPIP or woman is not NPIP certified. First of all, flick them on the ear
Yeah.
and say, get NPIP certified.
Yeah.
Not all the states are as easy as Ohio. So, and not all we are subsidized by a federal grant. So it's $75. I think it's $300 or $400 up in Michigan. So anyway,
Yeah.
but still, if you're going to
Yeah.
be selling a lot of birds, get your flock NPIP certified. The second thing is we do have a way for you to test those birds before you bring them onto your farm.
Okay.
And then if they're tested, then they're good.
Okay.
But otherwise, buy from NPIP sources if you at all possibly can.
Yeah.
Okay. When you sell birds or when you get birds from an NPIP source, you should be getting a 9-3. So the health papers that the 4-H kids get or
Yeah.
they want, this is called the 9-2. Remember, this is a government program.
Yeah.
So then this is the 9-2. The 9-3 looks just like it, except it has a space for the buyer information. So your information and then the buyer's information.
Gotcha.
And then whatever they bought and what they've been tested for. So that
Okay.
will be the 9-3. So here's the great thing about the 9-3. Let's say you sell some birds to the local 4-H kid and you give them a 9-3. Your health test that we're doing today goes with your birds for a year. So that 4-H kid would not have to be retested before they go to the fair. They could use your paperwork.
Okay.
Why didn't we get a 9-3 with all these birds we bought?
Well, sometimes you have to ask for it.
Yeah,
And
now
not
we know.
everybody is
Now we
forthcoming
know.
with it.
Yeah.
From our side of things, what is the 9-3 about? Originally, it was a paper in quadruplicate. One copy stayed for your records, one copy went with the buyer, one copy goes to OPA, which is the NPIP administrator for the state of Ohio, and then one copy would go to the NPIP administrator, usually the Department of Agriculture of whatever state they're going to.
Yeah.
Okay. The idea is that the NPIP administrators talk to each other and say that the Hoskins meet all of the health requirements for shipping the birds.
Okay.
Okay, so usually when you do these 9-3s, we'd like them a week or so ahead of when you're planning a shipment to go out of state. That way the NPIP administrators can talk to each other. And then you'll get back an email that says that you're good to go.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing on our side is the goal of all of this paper, originally all of this paper, was to create a paper trail so we can do contact tracing. The idea is that if we found a positive here today, we would want to go to all the places where you sold birds to and all of the places where you got birds from.
Okay.
So we can find the source of the infection and stamp it out.
Yeah.
Okay. Nowadays, that is all online. This is the instructions for setting up your 9-3s online.
Okay.
Basically, my boss, Jenna, she handles all the bird health programs from the office.
Okay.
So you're going to email her, you'll get your login, you'll get your password, and then you'll go to poultryimprovement.org, which is the NPIP website, and then you'll do your 9-3s on the website. Your information is already preloaded. You just have to put in the information of the buyer. Make sure you get the buyer's email address, and then at the bottom it says send copies. Press it, boom, the 4 copies go to where they need to go.
Okay.
That's cool.
They'll get a copy of it in their email.
Okay.
And likewise, it'll automatically, so if the buyer is from Indiana, it automatically sends it to Indiana. You don't have to look up any addresses or any names or anything. So that's it's made it really nice and convenient to
That's
do.
good.
Okay.
The first time you do it though, it's like anything, at least for me anyways, on computers, it's a little crazy. So give me a call and I'll help talk you through it.
Okay.
Okay, so the second thing with the contract that we're asking you to do is to fill out these 9-3s. So if you're okay with those two requirements,
Yeah.
then sign the contract here, and that's done. And like I said, for most people, this is going to go into your file folder and never see the light of day, and that's just how we like it, just anywhere on the line.
Okay. Look at her. She's like, what are you doing to me?
Okay, so
Yeah,
the
pretty
first
girl.
step- Now I can tell already this is a pretty good Brahma.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the key about a light Brahma? Is you got to get that width of skull.
Yeah.
You can see that it's got the beetle.
And she's probably
ridges.
she's probably the lowest quality, we think.
So we swirl around the back of the throat, and then we bring it up through the cleft palate.
Okay.
Get a little saliva on there. It goes in our broth, and then I take her. Oh. It helps if I remember to put my drops in.
Look, she's like, excuse me, I'm upside
Like I said,
down.
we're just going to do a few,
Okay.
just so you can see the process.
Okay.
Hopefully the situation will be addressed, and we'll be back to doing this.
Don't be mad at us, little bird.
This is just water.
Yeah.
It's just to rinse the stylus.
Okay.
Okay.
And then is this like a blood sample?
Yeah,
or-
so
Okay.
there's a nice vein. Now with a big bird like this, you can use the table to kind of support her. See this nice vein right
Yes,
here?
I do.
Okay, gotta pull a few feathers sometimes, especially when you're dealing with a fluffy chicken.
Yes.
But you see that vein right there, so
Yes.
that's what we're gonna poke. Okay.
So interesting.
There we go. So you get a loop of blood,
Okay.
and then you mix it with the antigen. And what we want is for it to stay nice and smooth.
Okay.
The reaction is pretty quick, especially the ideal temperature is 70 degrees, which is basically what it is today. And to me, what it looks like is I don't know if you've ever had like flan, or it has
Yes.
that kind of smooth surface, and then you press the spoon in and it gets kind of
Yeah.
clumpy, and that's kind of what it reminds me of.
Okay.
This bird is done.
Okay, cool.
Turned 80 in July. But when I was a kid, I used to say, well, why don't you just bend down and pick the chickens up?
Yeah.
Now I almost always catch my chickens with a hook.
Oh, really? So they have a hook for chickens, huh?
Yeah, it's just a little thing about this long with a little hook on the end, and you use it to grab the leg.
Now that I could do. Picking them up.
Some people are net people, and some people are hook people.
We have nets, but he prefers not to use a net because they freak out.
Yeah. The hook is a little bit better, I think. Because the chickens are looking at you, they're not looking at the end of the hook.
Yes.
Okay, what are we doing with her?
I'll just
Put her back.
Throw her right back in there. Hey, big boy.
This is the last one we'll bleed.
Okay.
And he could be a jerk. He might not be. We don't know.
She's actually doing better than the hen did.
Yeah. Not all are jerks.
I think we'll get one more out of this one.
Okay. Maybe barred rock or...
The coccidiostats affect the vitamin B metabolism of the protozoan, and that's how it kills them. So it's very difficult for the protozoan to evolve resistance to it,
Okay.
because you're basically evolving resistance to normal B metabolism. So, anyways, it's But it's not, a few years ago they passed the antibiotic feed directive. So these are medicines that target bacteria. And there was some concern that they were evolving resistance. The bacteria were resolving resistance because of the antibiotics in the feed, and that would create a human health issue.
Okay.
So they passed a law to get the antibiotics out of the feed.
Okay.
But that's different than the coccidiostats that they put in for chicks to get chick started. You don't have to worry about the one. You can still use the chick starter without worrying about antibiotic resistance.
Anyways, guys, that's pretty much how you get NPIP tested. There's a lot of info in this video. Go ahead, if you need to, rewind it, watch it a million times if you need to, because that's exactly what I've done. I am glad that he allowed me to record this and get everything like on video so that I could figure all this stuff out, because there was no way I would have remembered all that info. But there's no need for you guys to be scared. I started off really terrified. Like, I was scared that it was going to be some crazy science person that was going to be judging me on everything. But no, he's just another breeder. In my experience, most of them are all just super nice people, super down to earth, great to deal with. His name's Jim Ward, and he is awesome to talk to. He has so much info, very smart, very intelligent, and he just knows all of the stuff about this NPIP certification stuff. And he is amazing at what he does. And he was awesome to talk to. He was good at answering questions, all that. He was just all around a great guy to deal with. So honestly, guys, what they'll do is, this is a little bit of an extra thing that wasn't on video. He tested 30 birds and 1 turkey. Well, no, he tested 30 birds including a turkey. So 30 birds in total, 29 chickens, 1 turkey is what happened, okay? And I kind of just grabbed from each pen. And the cool thing about this, you don't need anything crazy. All you need to do is set up a table for them to set their vials and stuff on. And also, on top of that, this is in Ohio. It cost me $75 to get NPIP in Ohio. I know in the video he said something about like certain states are like $300. I think I've heard Florida's free. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on it because I live in Ohio. But you can check with your NPIP certification stuff. And honestly, it's like so easy. Of course it's work. You have to grab a chicken. He takes blood from a couple, or he'll swab the throats of a couple, you know, just different stuff. But honestly, it was not hard. It was very easy, very good. And yeah, if you guys are interested, you should try it, because really, you get to ship birds and eggs and go to shows and stuff. It really is going to help my business take off. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell, and comment down there. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.